The gang's all back together. And I'm not talking about the Yankees. I'm talking about me having my co-host back. Gary, welcome back. Guys, welcome back in. This is Yankees Unloaded. This is episode 296, so we're getting close to 300. The Yankees won, kind of like we expected, against a really bad Twins team that would have actually sold you at the deadline if they were able to. Do you see that graphic today, Gary? They had all those guys that they traded away. Absolutely insane.
I did. I didn't expect to see Brooks Krisky today.
No. They just claimed him off of waivers. I don't know what they were thinking. The Yankees were very happy they claimed him off waivers today. Zebby Matthews took on Will Warren. Will Warren shoved today. And I told you off air, and I'll continue to say this. If Will Warren figures out not to give up the long ball, he is going to be a really tough out, man. He is going to be almost unhittable. Some of his stuff is just absolutely filthy. But as we've talked about, you can still see when that sweeper isn't hitting the way it wants to, well, it's getting hit out of the park. So, look, really important win today. Obviously expected 10 hits, multiple home runs. I do have my concerns. I have my issues. We'll talk about it. But, you know, Gary, all in all, this is just something the Yankees needed to just get back on the high side. They need to sweep the Twins. In the past, you would have said, I'll take 2 out of 3. It's baseball. It's hard to sweep. No, they got to sweep the Twins because they've put themselves in this position where they have to do so. I want to give credit to Aaron Boone to an extent. It seems like he's actually committed, and you saw in the presser today, or you didn't see, but it just feels like he's committed to giving Ben Rice a run at catcher like we were kind of hoping for.
Didn't see the presser.
So that's the thing. I do like that. It feels like Ben Rice is finally getting an opportunity. And, Boone was saying basically we're starting to see, he's starting to get comfortable. And, yeah, I mean, he'd be very comfortable right now if you didn't just keep swapping him out of the lineup. But now he's finally getting played, and it's good to see. You see a really, confident hitter at the plate. Jokingly, he gets out a lot. Hard contact. I don't know if there's a guy in the league that hits the ball as hard as he does, as consistently as he does. It feels like every single hit, Gary, is right at somebody, and it's 110 off the bat. But I'm going to send it over to you. I think just really kind of, to kind of wrap up the intro here, the Yankees won. Will Warren looks like the best pitcher on this team, and that is wild. I did not think I'd be talking about Will Warren being the best pitcher on this team on August 12th, but here we are. And furthermore, I'll just say this. It's good to actually see Ben Rice getting playing time. And, oh, by the way, the best hitter in the lineup was in the lineup today in Giancarlo Stanton. You love to see it.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing right now is going to be opportunity. When you hear past young players, right, you see Clint Frazier, you hear just any young player that came through our system, and their complaints have been opportunity. Is that, why do I play one day, play well? And I think everyone can admit, Ben Rice played great today. Hard contact, even in his outs. He caught a great game. He called a great game. And then you leave the yard. Okay. There's no reason. I mean, if Yadier Molina's on the team and I haven't found him, then I guess you can let me know. But until that player shows up, a future Hall of Famer, Ben Rice should be playing for the Yankees behind the plate. Should be an everyday thing. And the Yankees right now they're not in a position to rotate talented players or players that they think are deserving of opportunity. This is not the time for that. Like, that's time for late March and April and May. And maybe you can sprinkle it in then. But when you're talking about we're entering into mid-August and we're 6 games back in the division, we're fighting for the 3rd spot in the wild card. We've won 1 game against the Twins. This is a must sweep. You cannot afford to have a single at-bat. And I know this sounds harsh. A single at-bat taken by Austin Wells. Austin Wells is a player that on this podcast, we've tried to talk about what's quality, right? His swing decisions. Now, this is now over a year ago. But swing decisions, which months he hits, which months he doesn't. The throwing the bases, the blocking, the framing, we've covered all those things. If you accumulate all of them, it's not a better baseball player than Ben Rice. Ben Rice should play every single day. at this point. The analytics suggest he's hitting the ball hard consistently, right? And then when you're talking about a guy, we thought the concerns was defense. That's what we thought was going on the whole time with the Yankees, is that Ben Rice just simply wasn't a good enough catcher. And Jake, it turns out you turn around and say, oh, wait a minute, actually a pretty good catcher. Actually knows how to call a game. And do you remember, Jake, when we were clamoring for this chance for Ben Rice to catch? And people said, well, how's that going to affect Max Fried? How's it going to affect Carlos Rodon, right? Some of the veteran players that like to have Austin Wells back there. And then long behold, you're sitting there weeks later and he does a fine job. He deserves to play. I know my mom's going to text me. It's lo and behold. I don't care. But we have to be serious about Ben Rice, the player, and we have to be serious as a team. The best players at every position should play. I don't care if another player has a gripe to take a couple of at-bats. Too bad. We're not in a position as a team. So credit to Aaron Boone for playing him today. I don't know if it's Boone or if it's an algorithm, but I'm going to allow him to take the credit for playing him. Now, the next step, what happens next? When we go into tomorrow's game, is Ben Rice in the lineup? He should be, and I hope to see his name.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And we were lied to, Gary. I'm just going to call it like it is. We were lied to, when it came to Ben Rice's defense. Is Austin Wells a better defensive catcher? Probably. It would make sense, right? But Ben Rice, his offense alone is the only one you should want back there. And because catching is basically like being a goalie in hockey, you can't play every day. Like, okay, the days he can't play every day, move him to first. Simply put, he should be catching or he should be at first base. He is way too vital for this offense, and we're seeing it. I mean, it seems like he's one of the only guys right now that's hitting in situations. You saw his ability to go opposite field. Doesn't he feel like, and I know he just drilled a home run that I have not looked up the stat cast for yet, and I will.
Exploded.
It looked 120 off the bat, right? It really did. I mean, that thing was out of here. And my thing is that while that was a pulled home run down the line, I don't see Ben Rice doing that every chance he gets. He's actually gotten to be a really crafty hitter, not afraid to go opposite field, take what the defensive alignment is giving him. Of course, the issue is he just hits the ball so freaking hard. It goes right at guys. He's not getting those, Altuve flares that we saw in the Astros game.
It's a little surprising, isn't it? Like, you would assume when we're reading a lot of these analytics and you're like, a lot of this should be falling, you can get frustrated and then turn into a Deadpool hitter, try to put the ball in the air.
Yeah.
He hasn't done that. Like, today he leaves the yard. I mean, it was one of the worst sliders you ever seen. And that's what you do to pitches like that, right? You make mistakes and people can say what they want of, that was a cement mixer or that was a horrible pitch, but that's what good hitters do to bad pitches. When you get mistakes, you're supposed to do damage, and that's exactly what he did. Then he gets a pitch later in the game away, and he hits a ball about 110 for an out, to your point, in the left field. So everything Ben Rice does is better, in my opinion. I know you mentioned the catching and that maybe Austin Wells might be a better catcher. I honestly am not so sure, because I think there's pros and cons to Austin Wells behind the plate. The pros is the framing. That cannot be, you cannot argue it. He steals strikes. That's a good thing. Now, Ben Rice does a solid job in that way as well, just not as good. But also, Wells can't throw. So what is that worth? And then also, he's hitting 205. So, I don't know. I just feel like the overall package of Ben Rice is just much better, much stronger, and helps the Yankees just be a better team.
His pop time is way down now. So he's probably in the 5th percentile, but the framing is now at a 61 percentile. Call it stealing above average is about average, and blocks above average is above average. So Ben Rice is only going to get better the more he plays catcher. You can't say, well, he played catcher in the minors, so no, it's a completely different ballgame. So the more he learns how to play catcher, in my opinion, at this level in the MLB, well, we're going to find out who this guy can really be. But as far as an offensive player, he's got a very bright future, Gary. He just does. I mean, again, you look at the savant, and it's just crazy. It is all above average. Every single thing offensively is above average. His walk rate, his strikeout rate, which is good. You want that to be above average. In this case, his whiffs are down. His chase rate's at an 82 percentile, squared up percentage, 83 percentile. But, you look at the expected weighted, offensive batting average, 403, expected batting average, 289. Everything is in the 90 percentile with hard hit percentage, barrel percentage, average exit velo, expected slugging. This guy is doing everything, and for whatever reason, he's just had the worst luck we've ever seen. And he's doing it for me, Gary. We talked about last year. Oh yeah, Austin Wells. If you're just not a good player if you don't have good luck, or you don't eventually turn this thing around. And he did, right? But Austin Wells had nowhere near the bad luck that I see with Ben Rice. Gary, it's every time. It's right at somebody, and it's August, and it's crazy. So I don't know what it is. I know this thing does turn around eventually. And be that as it may, he still has 17 home runs, not an everyday player. He's been just kind of swapped in and out. He's starting to become an everyday player again. And he's done everything to earn that. But 17 home runs, 235 average, I understand some people will scoff at. 326 on base, some people will scoff at. But you look at that 789 OPS, despite the fact that he's had to keep it on, Gary. He's had to keep that fire, that candle lit when he's not playing. He's getting one at bat in the 9th inning. Okay, that's not conducive to developing a young player like this. So,
and sometimes he sits against right-handed pitching, despite what was going on at first base with Paul Goldschmidt. So it's disgusting. But I want to catch up to some of these supers. I saw some people in the comments who were like, wow, only 225 in the live. Guys, if it bleeds, it leads. That's just the way this business goes. But like we tell you guys before, we don't care if this team wins. And this is the most unsexy win you'll ever see, right? The opinion is that the Yankees can't win a game without hitting home runs. Today, how'd they score? They hit home runs for the most part. Now, I'm going to give the Yankees offense some credit because they're in the 7th inning. It was starting to get tight. And you have guys like Grisham coming through, McMahon, and the team had to have those at-bats. They just had to have them. And I know it's not anything major. Most teams in baseball, especially the contenders, would have won this game. But we need to just take the wins when they come. So, by the way, guys, if you're one of the 225 plus that are in here, thank you for being here. Greatly appreciated. If you guys subscribe to Yankees Unloaded, we assume that you guys have. But if you haven't yet, make sure you do so because we are giving away a Yankees jersey at 10,000 subscribers. We are getting close, Jake. We are less than 500 subscribers away. So we'll see you guys in the next couple weeks for that giveaway. We'll announce that live on the podcast. But let's get to our supers. Alex Reyes here is burnt into the screen like a crisp. Thank you for the 2, Alex. Says Yankees Unloaded featuring Clint, who says no for episode 1. I'm assuming he means Clint Frazier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
hey,
Clint Frazier.
I want to get him on. I always liked him. I still think he was done wrong by the Yankees. I just do. I've made that very clear. Well documented on this show. I'd like to get him on. I like what he had to say. I think I actually sent you what he said. He was talking about if the Yankees fire Aaron Boone, they need to fire everyone else. Because this, actually, thank you, Alex, for bringing this up. Because, Gary, I do want to touch on this. And we can go back to the game, but I do want to touch on this and get your thoughts.
This deserves to be talked about.
We got some clarification. Aaron Boone isn't just being given a lineup. We finally got the clarification. I had a feeling it was something like this. Clint Frazier confirmed that Aaron Boone is getting his lineup, and then the analytical team is creating their lineup.
Okay.
And they are mixing and matching based on what they come to the agreement. So this idea that Boone's not at fault for his lineup, or, it's all Boone or it's all analytics, none of it's true. Essentially, it's a combination of both. And I'm glad that that's finally out in the ether.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of when
Stupidity.
people will tell. Yeah, it is stupid, but yeah, I guess just taking a look at it. But it reminds me a lot of when people tell you that they're going to write a paper and they say, I'm going to use AI, but I'm not going to let AI write the whole paper. I'm just going to let it give me the ideas and then I'll kind of build off of it. But by the time you read the paper, it's all AI. It's all generated for you.
Yeah.
Why would you ever consider what a computer has to say before your own mind comes up with a lineup after having played baseball for a decade in the league? Why would you think a computer has better answers to the test than you have? It doesn't. It just doesn't. The teams that find ways to find a middle ground, like a real middle ground. And I know if we asked Aaron Boone and we asked the staff, what are you guys actually trying to accomplish here? They would tell you, yeah, that's what we're trying to do is find a middle ground. I come up with my lineup, they come up with theirs, and then I make little tweaks to it. Those tweaks don't work. You know what those tweaks do? It gets players who are hot off the field. It gets players who are cold and haven't played for 2 days in a row on the field and playing in big games. That's what it's helped you do. And it doesn't help you win games. So I'm afraid if this is true, now, of course, we can't confirm it, but we have a pretty good idea that's how they do things.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's not good, Jake.
No, I'm glad we agree on that because I understand some people would look at it one way and be like, oh, it's a meeting of the minds. No, I'm sorry. I actually, you want to know what I would do? I'd go scorched earth on the analytics in the Yankees organization. I would get rid of that department almost entirely. And the reason being is because I think it's kind of like, you're grilling chicken or some kind of beef or whatever, and you put too much seasoning on it, and now you've kind of gone away from what the steak or the chicken is supposed to taste like, and now it just tastes like seasoning out of a plastic container. Well, that's what analytics have become, is that really this is baseball. There's feel involved. And now when you are constantly pushing this agenda that, and we talk about all the time, the defensive alignment. I saw a play today, Anthony Volpe. There's a ground ball, right? Easy ground ball to the shortstop. Anthony Volpe has to make some crazy play where he charges in, and they talk about it.
It was a nice play. He should not have had to done that. He should not have had to
is he playing
go
behind second
15
base?
feet to his right.
He should not have had to step on second base to go back to shortstop to make the play at shortstop. This is what I'm talking about. Analytics will tell you, well, more often than not, this player's hitting it over there. Yeah, okay, but there's also a thing called feel. And and actually, this is a great point I want to bring up, because Will Warren, if he was doing his thing today, he was either striking you out or he was giving up a home run, which he only did twice and he only gave up 2 hits, or he was generating the softest contact you've ever seen. So if he's generating this soft contact, you can't have your shortstop out of position. You can't have your third baseman out of position. You can't have your first baseman, your second baseman. It puts too much pressure. So I understand Volpe got to the ball. It was a good play, but this is what I'm talking about. And so now, when you're focusing on all these analytics and everything, you're going away from the feel of the game. And, Gary, you weren't here to talk about it, but, we had all Old Timers Day. And I thought that was an absolute masterclass on, broadcasting, on telecasting. I thought that was genius. Have all the guys on. Have an Andy Pettitte. Have a Joe Torre, right? Have a Roger Clemens.
It was genius for who?
It was genius for the broadcast. It was genius for us.
I think it was genius for us. Like, as a consumer, it was perfect. But what was so funny about it?
PR.
That's what I'm saying. So if you're the Yankees, why would you bring Jorge Posada on the broad? Now, mind you, I actually want Jorge Posada to be our next manager.
Yeah,
but
he definitely proved that.
But having said all this, and Jorge Posada did get on the mic and say, yeah, you're going to have to piss some people off. You're going to have to hate some people. You're going to have to be the bad guy. You can't be everyone's friend. And what's funny is people will say, oh, I mean, he's not going to take any direct shots at Aaron Boone. Well, isn't that? Aaron Boone's their friend. That's who he is. He's there's a difference because there's players, managers. Like Jim Leland, for example, is very liked by the players, right? And yet, if somebody who he really respects, really likes, does something, like something similar to what you saw with Austin Wells, not knowing the outs, or Jazz doing what he was doing at first base, we're not even sure what that was, getting picked off over at first on a fly ball to second. Jim Leyland is ripping you a new pair of butt cheeks. That's what he's doing. He's not your friend anymore. There's now a hierarchy, and I'm going to step on your throat. That's the level that these players have to see you in. So when you bring on a Posada to your broadcast, isn't that exactly what you thought they were going to say?
Yeah.
Hey, guys, can you tell us what you think the problem is? Isn't that exactly the answer you thought it was? Is that we're more accountable? We had leadership above our heads, and that the Yankees need it again. We're not feared anymore. See, I can't believe they stuck a mic in these players' faces and expected anything different. This is exactly what you get.
You tweeted this out. You're like, I don't know if Boone's going to make it through this season, because there were a lot of, and this is what you basically said. You're like, there was a lot of former players that did not approve of what he was doing. Have you ever seen an Old Timers Day like that? Ever?
Never in my entire life have I ever seen that before.
The negativity, which, by the way, entirely justified. And by the way, we all wanted the negativity, because now we know we're not crazy. If Jorge Posada, he's saying it. He's not just seeing it. He's saying it. He's willing to actually put his face with the pinstripes on and say, we're a soft team, right? Willie Randolph, God, I would take him as a manager right now.
You do at some point, though, Jake, in order to instill fear, because that was the thing that stuck out to me. Mm-hmm. No one's afraid of us. Now, mind you guys, no one's afraid of teams just based on what's on paper, okay? What you do in the offseason, like if the Yankees go get Kyle Tucker or whoever else, they trade for Paul Skeens. I'm just naming you guys the best players that could ever be available. Now, if the Yankees go do that, teams don't just automatically go, oh my God, I don't want to play them. No, you have to put it together now, right? Which is just part of baseball. The Los Angeles Dodgers, on the other hand, obviously on the other side of the country, they play baseball, and it's not their roster that scares you. It's the result. They were very close to losing to the Padres last year. Very close. The Padres didn't score a single run in 25 innings of work, get eliminated, right? They go into the World Series, beat us, then start signing players. Now everyone's afraid. How are we going to beat this team? Winning creates fear. That's what you want. And those players, what they all have in common that none of the players in our locker room today have a clue about is winning. That's the difference. So when you ask Posada, what needs to be different? Well, you can't be their friend. You need to piss some people off. They're essentially telling you what was the difference between what you guys were doing versus what these guys are doing. And so now I ask the question. I'm going to try and advance this. Why are we doing things different than we used to do them if it was working? Why wouldn't we try to emulate some of the formula of what was working? Why are we trying to do it someone else's way, which in my opinion is Hal Steinbrenner's way? Hal Steinbrenner's way doesn't work. So I want to know if Aaron Boone was, let's just say they listen to these old school players, they give us what we want, hire a new manager. Are they going to hire somebody that these former players would approve of, Jake?
I'll tell you this right now, okay? It is all about one thing. You know what that is?
What's that?
EGO. It's about ego. I mean, think about it. Throughout the entire tenure, and obviously, guys, we're going to be talking about the game. We got plenty of time. But throughout the entire tenure of a Brian Cashman, of a Hal Steinbrenner, hasn't it just been fueled by ego? So this guy,
I think it's trying to show that the old way is a little bit outdated. We've got the salary cap.
It's trying to
our
one
way
up the
is
people
more
that did it.
slow paced. We're gonna have to think if we want to win in today's brand of baseball. I think that's what the Yankees are out here to prove, and the former players view it very different. I think our audience sees it a little bit different. So I'm not sitting here saying, oh, just fire everybody and just freaking out, but there are huge differences to how we run this team and how we used to run. It doesn't have to look like a mirror image of 1998, but Is this version of the Yankees a hybrid of old school and new, or is it just something completely new school that's in right left field?
I would lean towards that. I guarantee you we may never find out, but the best teams in this league aren't obsessed with analytics. They're still using it, but they're using it as a tool, which is it's intended to be. Because the thing that is so powerful about analytics is when you already have a brain. It's like the analogy I made a while ago with the whole, you can have the GPS and you could learn how to go anywhere, with directions. But if you can't drive a damn car, no one cares. You have to drive the car. You have to know how to drive in order to use a GPS. GPS is nice, but GPS can't teach you how to drive, can't teach you how to move that car from point A to point B. And that is what we're seeing, is that this obsession with analytics, this obsession, this over-fixation on things that really I don't think have to be, emphasized, and then they are, and then it creates other problems. Cough, cough, the defensive alignment. I've said it all year. But, Gary, the thing that I'm the most focused on, okay? This is the key to the Yankees' success. If they are going to make a run, like Aaron Boone continues to tell us, they're going to have to do this. And you know what it is? It's very simple. They're going to have to be like any other team where you have a positive momentum boost win. And now you have to use that momentum and carry it on into the next game. This is a team that, Gary, we've talked about this. This team, and basically Clint Frazier mentioned this on Twitter, they don't believe in hot streaks, right? Well, guess what?
That's what they tell us.
Yesterday, I'll tell you right now, okay? I'll tell you right now, when it comes down to the Yankees and the way things are, is that every single time something happens, something good, they can't build off it. They just look at it like, it's no big deal. But, tomorrow's a new game. It is a new game. And I like that mindset to a degree. But you have to be able to build off of what you just did. You can't come out flat. The glass shattered for me yesterday. I lost it. I was like,
oh, so done. You were finally on the train. By the way, I was going to ask you, Jake. I had a real question for you. Did you do science fair by chance in junior high?
Science fair?
Yeah, the science fair project. I wasn't sure if everyone did science fair project or not.
I don't remember. I think I made a volcano.
Yeah, that sounds
Something
about
like
right
that.
with the science fair. So when you do science fair, you're supposed to come up with a problem and then a hypothesis as to what you think is going to happen. But during the whole thing, on your poster, you're supposed to put things that can change, right? Variables. And you have to list out each and every variable. And that's how the project works. And then you come up with the results and the conclusion at the end. And then you share. That's what I think the Yankees are. I think the Yankees are a gigantic science fair project where they'll have an equation that just works. And they're like, awesome. Now let's see if we can add another variable and do it in another way.
So true.
There's no reason to do it. And here's the reason why. No other team does this. They just don't do it. This is why Alex Rodriguez will hop on a mic and say, well, our favorite thing about our old teams in 2009 was that I just showed up and I knew where Damon was hitting. I knew where he was playing. And if he was playing really bad, I knew that things could be tweaked a little bit. But we would talk about these changes and it was much slower. There was a process and a buildup over the season. But now you sit here and look at it and say, oh, there's our big win right there. Breakthrough. Nice. And then the next day, they change a variable and nothing's the same. And now you need a quality result. It doesn't work. And one thing you learn about science fair, Jake, is that more times than not, once you change one or two variables, the whole result is different. Completely different. And you change one little thing. You change how you're watering it, the temperature of the water, totally changes the result. There's no reason to change something that works. That's what I'm getting at here. And I think when you look at Aaron Boone, you look at this front office, you look at what Clint Frazier said, They're essentially telling you, we have AI coming up with all of these tweaks that you guys see, which, by the way, I don't think a single person of the 400 people listening live to our show would be surprised to know a robot is helping Aaron Boone come up with these lineups. Does that shock literally anybody? There aren't even fully Yankees fans in here. We've got Dodgers fans with virtual, right? We've got plenty of fans. Michael, Red Sox fan. Do you think, honestly, that Michael in here is surprised that the Yankees build lineups based on AI, based on analytics? Of course not. Everyone knows this about the Yankees, and yet our own front office is the only front office that's just shocked that this isn't working. So we played a game today, and I want to talk about the game, and then I'll get to this super chat because Ninja Hot Dog, thank you for the 2, says going to be at Fire Boone night. I forgot what night that was. Jake, do you remember what night that was?
It's August 12th. It's tonight, technically, on the East Coast. Not quite August 12th on your side of the world, but it is.
So tomorrow's game. I can't wait to watch that, because what'll be interesting about it before we get to this game will be, what will Michael K say? And I'm going to assume he's going to cover it this way. He's going to say, and I think it'll be fair.
Yeah.
He'll say, if you guys aren't winning games, this is what comes from managing and playing in New York. They have high expectations. He's essentially going to outline exactly why the fans are out there saying what they're saying. He's not going to take a stance of whether or not he thinks it's true or not or whatever. But what he will do is, I think he'll validate the fact that the fans have always been this way and they want to be heard. We pay a lot of money to watch this team. We deserve to be heard. It's the same thing you see in Boston complaining about John Henry and his spending, trading away players. What's the difference? So, Jake, I think it is completely valid. I can't wait to watch tomorrow's game. This is the first time I've been excited about a Yankees game in a while. So, and Ninja Hot Dog will be at this game.
I get excited to see Schindler.
That'll be fun.
I did say, by the way, because I don't know if you had a chance to catch yesterday's episode, it was pretty long, and obviously you had the whole anniversary weekend. But it wasn't just Fire Boone. I also thought they should call up Spencer Jones, and I haven't changed my opinion on that. I think you just because, and I'm glad we're talking about this, because we were talking about this off air. This needs to be said. If you guys watched yesterday, I told you guys they were going to beat the Twins. Back earlier in the year, you could win 2 out of 3 against the Twins, and that's okay. You won a series. That's great. You have to sweep the Twins because of the position you're in right now. And this is not a good baseball team. So don't get too high and mighty. Don't start getting cocky if they sweep the Twins. They're not back until they show us they're back. If they go, on the road in St. Louis and they take care of business there, and then really I think what we're going to see is how well do they do against the Red Sox when they meet up. I think that's when we'll know. Are like, if they start winning games like crazy and then they go in the Red Sox series and lay an egg, that's the Yankees of 2025. That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
Oh, guys, look, we beat the Twins. Time to go into a series where we need to beat Boston, and you go lay an egg. It's exactly what we did in Kansas City. We showed up. We swept Kansas City. We gave Aaron Judge the day off. They're like, look at this. We're rested. Can't wait to watch this. We walked into Boston. We're destroyed. And then we walked into the next series and we're like, don't worry about it, guys. It was just an anomaly. Bad series. We'll flush it. It's just baseball. 1 of 162. Actually, 3 of 162. And then we showed up in the next series and laid another egg. So the Yankees have to take care of business against Minnesota. It's not a series win situation. It is a sweep and then who's next situation. And you're going to show us exactly who you are. None of us are going to predict you to win these bigger games, because when we did so, you failed and then got upset at us for having a reaction. That's what happened.
It's true.
So I hate to break it to you guys. When they lose, now Yankees Unloaded and Yankees fans in general just have too high of expectations. You guys won the pennant last year. It's just 1 of 162. It's the June swoon. It's not anything major. So relax, guys. And then guess what? Here we are in August, 6 games back in the 3rd spot of a wild card. And then people want to say, look, we beat Minnesota. Okay, good. Now show up tomorrow, beat the brakes off this team, and the next day and beat the brakes off this team. And it won't matter if Aaron Boone, if there's chance of him being fired, go out and win anyway. That's your job. And then you show up in those series with Boston. And if you show up and win that series or sweep them, now you have the league's attention. But without it, you're just a team in pinstripes just kicking dust up in the air. It's not really anything else.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing I was saying on the show. You know, yesterday was hard because they come out so flat. And this is what I talk about. There's no momentum with this team. They don't build off anything. So they need to actually build off it tomorrow. And I know the Twins are not good, but still, they have yet to show us that they can build off momentum this late in the year. And keep this in mind. They got 2 more games against Minnesota. Okay? Mm-hmm. They're going to be seeing Joe Ryan, who, I mean, you know, we talked about him a ton on this show.
Very good.
Very good pitcher. They're going to be seeing him on Wednesday. We have no idea who's pitching Tuesday. They have not announced yet. It's Rodon and Schlittler for the Yankees. So Rodon tomorrow, Schlittler on Wednesday. Then they have an off day, rare off day. By the way, they actually have 2 rare off days, Gary. This could be interesting. Can they build off that? If they win these games, they're off Thursday, right? Then they go to St. Louis, and then they have an off day on Monday.
Do you want me to answer for you, or is this a rhetorical you want to leave mysterious?
It's a rhetorical question.
Okay, good, because I had an answer for you, but I'll let the mystery float.
Gary,
let's talk about Apex is
super right now when it comes to the Yankees. I don't expect anything. Do I think that they'll make the playoffs? I kind of do, just because it's the bar's that low. But really, what they would have to do to get me back on board, because I was on board for a while, you know that.
Mm-hmm.
They have to sweep the Twins. They have to sweep St. Louis, at least win 2 out of 3 on the road.
Yep.
They have to absolutely win the next 2 against Tampa. Come on. That's George Steinbrenner Field. You better win those 2. Then after that, I need at least a split in that series against Boston, 4-game set. I'm not asking for you to win the series, but you got to split it. Because they have proven they can't even beat Boston this year. So I'll take a split.
Yeah, and Boston's playing better baseball. Now they've lost 3 straight, but at the same time, since the break, Boston has shown, I mean, incredible ups and downs, but they have talent. You've got to show up. Boston's one of the teams where they're a solid team, they're a good team. You have to beat good teams now. That's the position you've put yourself in. So it'll be fun to watch. Apex with the 2, Super, who's obviously a mod of ours. So Apex, thank you for doing so. Said second half, Will Warren, I almost said Walter White, better than Meatball Rodon and Max Fried. So obviously Apex isn't high on Max Fried, and I don't really blame you. Max Fried over his first 12, 13 starts, excellent. Very good. Outside of that Dodgers start, he was great. He didn't have a single bad start outside of that start. Then you go into the second half. Just before that, he has the blister issue. They told us, don't worry about it, guys. Gary, Jake, Yankees Unloaded, don't freak out. He's not even going on the IL. We've got the All-Star break. We'll kind of skip that start. He won't pitch. He'll be ready for the second half. We said, awesome. Can't wait to see it.
No big deal, guys.
He has been horrible since. Horrible. No length. He's not missing bats. Hard contact. You can't get away with, you're not going to win games that way. You're just not, especially with a back-end bullpen that can't save you like a San Diego can or a Philadelphia. We're not that team. So we need him to be great. He's been horrible. So wouldn't call him a fraud. But what I will say is if we could reverse it where you were okay or mediocre in the first half and be great on the second half, we'd probably take that. But if you're going to tell me you're going to be great in the first half and sitting there in April and May, and you're awesome, and then we get into August and September, and you're not pitching like yourself, that's like exactly what we tell you we don't want. So let's give credit to Will Warren for pitching big in a game that we had to win. So, yeah, it's not good when the last pitcher, Jake, who received an out in the 6th inning or later, today, Will Warren, the last time it happened, you texted to me, Will Warren. That is not acceptable. if you're the Yankees. It's not acceptable. It's not sustainable. Michael Kay covered it today. So credit to Will Warren for doing so.
No, the $30 million pitchers. Instead, it's the guy who's making the vet minimum.
And what are we doing here? What are we doing here? We came into the season thinking, oh, well, Carlos Rodon has a lot to prove. The ball leaves the yard way too much. I think we can all agree.
Yes. Yep.
He doesn't pitch well in big games. Mind you, he had some big starts in last year's postseason run. He absolutely did. But he also had some stinkers. Definitely not a sure thing. But at the same time, Carlos Rodon's not talented enough, in my opinion. He's not in that Paul Skeens conversation. Like, he's not that type of arm. But he needs to be better than what he is. Max Fried has to be better. And my concern for him was innings, right? He's never gone innings. And he's approaching that ceiling for his innings of where he usually gets to before breaking down. So not what you want to hear. But again, let's make this about Will Warren. Will Warren was really good today overall. I was pretty happy.
Yeah, and real quick on Rodon, because we're going to go back to Will Warren here.
Yep.
When I see Rodon at his best, I see him as a Pau Gasol. For those of you that watched the Lakers back in 2010 with Kobe. Was he the guy? No. But they couldn't win without him. Actually, when they traded for Pau Gasol, that was kind of the moment, okay, we can beat the Celtics now, right? My thing is, he's a B-plus player. I think when he's at his best, maybe he's an A-. Mm-hmm. But that's really good, but that's not an ace in New York with a $300 million payroll. And when Max Fried is on, Max Fried can be the guy. But the issue that I had is that Max Fried, as you brought up, let's just call it like it is, he should have been placed on the IL when he had that blister. I think they messed around, and a craft pitcher who really is keen on his spin rate. I mean, Jack Curry was talking about it. He doesn't have the same spin rate right now. That's why guys are hitting baseballs that they weren't hitting earlier in the year. And you could say, oh, maybe it's the weather. No, it's because of his blister that they told us wasn't a big deal. Just kind of like how Anthony Volpe, who, we know Anthony Volpe has had some fits in the field before. Even during his Gold Glove seasons, he's had errors. But not like this season. It clearly looked like he was playing through something. Oh, Austin Wells playing through a nerve damage in his hand to the point where he's cheating. He continues to change his load step at the plate. He's going back to what he did earlier in the year because he's right now drowning in a glass of water. Like, he doesn't know how to get out of it. Well, if we care about
analytics as much as we say we do, why wouldn't we use analytics to determine that a player's clearly not healthy and that he just shouldn't pitch? Max Fried's not a good enough arm. Carlos Rodon, for example, wouldn't be a good enough arm to pitch compromise physically. They're not. I'm afraid to tell you guys, they're not. It's not 101 with a devastating sweeper, and then that guy's dealing with a blister. No, it's 94 to 97, and if location's not perfect, the ball's in the seats. These arms, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, Will Warren, Luis Gil, they don't have the type of stuff to get away with consistent mistakes. Go watch some of the game's best arms. The best arms, best of the best. And you're seeing, I literally just watched Mason Miller out of the bullpen just a second ago. 104 miles an hour. You know where this pitch was? Middle. He can get away with that because he's 104. You guys are, I'm not going to call Carlos Rodon a craft guy because he's still a power arm. But he doesn't have the type of stuff or the career to show up here and be compromised. Max Fried doesn't have the type of career to show up physically compromised. You're now seeing what it looks like when he's not right physically. And so when the broadcast tells you spin rate is massively down, why don't the Yankees say, hey, he's not right, get him off the field?
Jack Curry knows this, but the Yankees don't seem to, or they don't care. Which then, Gary, at that point, if you have access to the information, you don't care about it, then it makes all of your other points using that said information null and void, right?
Yeah, you should throw it away because what you're telling me now is, no, we're going to use the human element because what we're telling you is we can't win games if Max Fried doesn't pitch at all and we go to our other options. So when people tell you, no, this Yankees team has more depth than you've ever seen, we've got more depth in the minor leagues as far as arms go that we really trust. But then when they have a pitcher whose stuff is down massively, the overall production is down massively, and they're like, we can't deal with him being on the IL for a 2-week span over the course of the entire second half, it should tell you everything you need to know. They use analytics when guys are healthy and going, but when they're not, suddenly they want to use the human element. It is frightening. And Jersey Girl with the 2, thank you for that, says it's a Festivus miracle. The Yankees win. And I want to catch up on some supers. And Apex with the 2 says Rodon and Fried have to accept Rice is the catcher. I don't give a rip what Rodon and Fried have to say. They could have me back there catching.
Last year. You're like, you don't get a preferential catcher.
Guys, this is my opinion. Maybe you all disagree. Maybe. If you aren't performing consistently and you're not consistently dominant, you don't get a preference. I hate to break it to you. You just don't. It's the same concept I said with Devin Williams. Why are you allowing him to spearhead our shaving policy to change? This isn't Kyle Tucker. This isn't Vladdy Jr. or some superstar. We didn't trade for Paul Skeens and he's like, nah, I'd rather keep my beard. No, maybe for a superstar you can consider it, but to bring in players, you don't get preferential treatment when you're just good some days and horrible the next week. I feel like this is a clear concept, but the Yankees just it just eludes them entirely.
Yeah, I get that. And yeah, it was one of those things back in the day when you had Higashioka and you saw the splits with Garrett Cole when Higashioka was catching, and you're like, okay, he needs to be pitching Higashioka. Like, it's just night and day. But it was also Garrett Cole. Like, they were doing it with, like, last year, remember? Like, oh, yeah, Nestor Cortez has his own catcher. I told
Nestor
you this.
Cortez!
You lost your mind. You're like, wait, are you kidding me? That's why Trevino's playing? I was like, yep, he only throws to Trevino. You're
Guys,
so
how many people do you think in the history of baseball have ever been like, I drove across state lines to go watch Nestor Cortez pitch tonight? Never. It's never happened before. Outside of his family, a couple cousins, nobody has traveled to see him. Now, this is a solid pitcher. Like, he's had a solid professional career. Solid professional careers don't warrant preferential treatment. And Jake, you cover the Rams for a living. If Aaron Donald wants to wear pullovers at the team meetings, we're wearing pullovers. But guess what? When the 5th round pick in the NFL draft of that year shows up and says, why do we have to wear suits in here? Why can't we just wear t-shirts? You don't get a say because you haven't done anything. Well, you haven't helped us win yet. That's how this all should work, but it doesn't, unfortunately. Yeah. So it is a little disheartening that that's the way we work. Yankee Fangirl for Life with the 2 says Stanton also needs to be in each game right now. So this was 100%. Actually my bite back a little bit on the Spencer Jones pursuit, because I just think our situation is just devastating for us to be able to call him up. It just is. Aaron Judge can't throw the baseball, right? He has to DH. Now, I think the Yankees are in a position where Giancarlo Stanton has to play right field every day. That's what I do. And then when you think physically he has to have a day, he tells you, that's what I do. I have Stanton just walk up to my office and say, hey, Boone, I'm going to need tomorrow off. If he tells me so, he's off. But we don't have a choice. We don't get an opportunity to put people in perfect spots. We have to keep Giancarlo's bat in there. And you mentioned it's our best bat right now. Regardless, he's one of our best bats. You have to play. You have to. And that's part of riding momentum. I think that's just part of the feel. Yankee Fangirl for Life believes that he's got to play each game. I'm behind that 100%.
I totally agree. When it came to Spencer Jones, though, it's one of those things where it's like right now your ass is in the jackpot, right? I had to.
Oh
bring
God.
That up. No,
yeah.
The point being though is your team is. I mean, this is make or break. We're down to 40 something games left. I understand that seems like a lot of pressure out on Spencer Jones, but they did this. I've mentioned this so many times. They did this with Cabrera in Peraza in 2022, and it worked. Sometimes that youthful exuberance just actually works. There's kind of just it's a needle in the arm, if you will. A good needle, not an illegal needle. But anyway, but no, it's like a shot of adrenaline, you know. And I feel I like Jason Dominguez, but his defense doesn't even warrant him really playing over Spencer Jones, if we're being honest. Like, if Spencer Jones comes up and he hits even just decent, his defense is good enough to actually displace, you know, Jason Dominguez playing every
How
day.
did they describe that defense to us at all three positions? Do you remember?
Spencer Jones?
Yeah, they use a one-word description.
Interchangeable. He can play every single position.
So that's true,
In
but
the
they
outfield?
called it elite.
Oh,
Elite.
yeah.
That was their description. Oh, left field, right field, center field, elite.
He shouldn't be able to move like that. He moves like a gazelle.
But you know what they
He's
told
gonna
us about
steal
Jason
30
Dominguez?
bags.
They said they really didn't answer it, because that's when you know the Yankees are lying to you. When you say, hey, is that guy a good defender? They go, oh, yeah, he's not a problem out there at all. That means he's not a good defender. That's not the reason we don't play him. It's not because of the glove. Because you remember, Jason Dominguez could have played last year, and they chose not to play him.
And I like Dominguez, but you had brought up a good point today. We were talking about this, and you were telling me, you're like, well, if a fielder isn't good in the field, it's like a cornerback not being good at covering. You know, I mean,
People want it to believe that if you're a fast, let's just say you're fast, and you bring a track star out to the football field, people like to believe, oh, if you put Usain Bolt at receiver, he's going to just run right by any safety in the NFL. But what they don't tell you is you have to be able to run a route. There's a skill set to moving your body. The fastest player in the NFL isn't always the best receiver in the NFL. Matter of fact, it rarely ever happens. Rarely ever. At one moment, you had a Tyreek Hill and it made sense. Oh, the fastest player just outruns everyone. Sure. But then all of a sudden you see in the next years, right, with Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is not the fastest player in the NFL. Never was. And so that's part of how it works. There's a skill set to running down a fly ball. My favorite baseball player ever, Jim Edmonds. Jim Edmonds is one of the best defenders I ever watched, my two eyes. And yet, never was in the conversation. I've never seen anybody talk about him being fast or talk about athleticism with him. Never. I've never seen that happen. And so that's part of my confusion when it comes to Jason Dominguez, is a lot of people say, well, he's fast, he has a strong arm, and I actually text that to you this morning, Jake, and people just sort of make the assumption that if you put a fast person who's a really good athlete in the outfield for a season or two or three in the same position, they just inherently are going to get better. Just like in the NBA where they say, oh, his three-point shot is really bad, and it'll just get better year after year. But then 2 years down the road, what's not ever better, Jake? That three-point shot.
Or free throws. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it'll improve. Yeah, I mean, it'll go up from 31%, sure, but it's not going to...
Your baseline has to be somewhere consistent. You don't just become a good outfielder when you were one of the worst we've ever seen. That doesn't happen. Well, that's all I'm getting at.
Like what we were talking about as well with Jason Dominguez, the arm's great, right? You know, as far as how fast he can throw it, how hard he can throw it, the range, but it's Anthony Richardson, right? Anthony Richardson can throw a missile. Joe Milton. I was watching the Rams-Cowboys preseason. Gary, everyone wanted to trade for Joe Milton this offseason, fan-wise, not every team, just the Cowboys. But everyone was talking about Joe Milton because he had one good game for the Patriots last year. I don't know if you remember that. And
I do remember it.
His stock went through the roof off of one game. To be fair, that happens a decent amount, actually, at that position. But anyway, Joe Milton, I watched him at Tennessee. I think we've joked about it before. I've never seen a dude throw the ball this hard, this far, but he never knows where the hell it's going. Like, it only has one speed.
Come on.
So it's like Jason Dominguez, the point being, Jason Dominguez can throw an absolute missile to home plate. It just might be over home plate. Like, we've seen it, right? So it's I like Jason Dominguez. Do
you remember Joel Zumaya? Do you remember him?
That dude threw like 102, but he threw 102 back in like the era where you didn't throw 102.
No, back when he threw. So at one point he struck out Jason Giambi and A-Rod in back-to-back at bats with 103 and 104.
Insane.
That was in an era where that was not heard of. You hadn't seen 103, 104 since like Randy Johnson, Nolan Ryan. Never. You don't ever see that.
No.
So, yeah, I just think, and I do see in the chat, and this is valid. People mention that he's 22 years old. Well, technically all players that don't pan out or do, they're all 22 years old at one point. Mm-hmm. They just are. So I just don't. Remember, Jake, us also earlier, I was texting you and we were having the conversation of that just because a player's young and that maybe there is development to be had and it does take that player 2 to 3 years. Let's just say it does take Jason Dominguez 2 or 3 years to hit the ground running and be the player we all want him to be. Well, who's to say that that really lines up for the Yankees timeline? What if it does take him 2-3 years, which is pretty common, not for phenoms like the way he was covered, but people kind of make it seem like 250 with no pop in the worst defense we've ever seen is just fine because he is 22. Well, I hate to break it to you guys. At some point or another, the Yankees have to time their talent. There's an art to utilizing prospects. And Jake, I know you're super high on Spencer Jones, and I'm high on what he can do as well. I'm excited to watch him play at the big league level. We haven't seen it yet. But if he, for example, isn't ready for 3 more seasons, the hell is he going to do for us in 2026 when we have to win a World Series? Probably not a ton. So that's the pressure of being a prospect in a win now team that just so happens to have Aaron Judge on it, where you want to maximize his tenure, who's already in his 30s. So there's a lot at work. I'm pretty sure. I'm curious to know. I mean, Jason Dominguez's defense right now, he's honestly boost mobile. The dude's just got no range. Nothing. It's sad to watch it.
Sponsorship.
Yeah, if Boost Mobile wanted to sponsor this podcast, you guys beat rock. It's not happening. But let's get to the game. So obviously, yeah, go ahead.
So
we're never getting to this game.
You mentioned Jason Dominguez. Nah, I got to bring this up. It's on topic. Look at that fielding run value.
Can you zoom in on that just so that everyone can take a good look?
Oh.
Does that say 2 before it zoomed in on him?
Yeah.
2. So here's what these numbers mean.
Negative
literally.
8, by the way.
He is a league average hitter, right? Now he's league average because he hits 250, but league average hitting is 240 with a little bit more pop. He makes up for it with some average. He's a great base runner. Great. Has no range, and his arm value, which means he's not accurate and doesn't get rid of the ball on time. That's really what that means.
Yep.
If the ball's in his glove and a play has to be made, it's not being made. Just know that. And that's what we have. And then people want me to believe, well, he's just 22, and we can just sit there and wait until he's 24, 25. Guess who else? Guess who's 24, Jake? Anthony Volpe. We had these exact same conversations about Anthony Volpe. He's just 22. And I said, you know what? I'll back off. You're right. Let's wait. Let's wait. Age 23, age 24, 250 with 9 homers, I believe it is. Hasn't hit a home run since, it's been a long time. He's not hitting homers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
like
I can't sit here and look at it.
But at the same time, it's just we got to be honest with ourselves. Right now, is it working out? Not really. So,
well, I would say safely if Jason Dominguez was a player on another team, he would be a designated hitter and they would move on with it. And they would give him probably another year and a half on a team that isn't in win now mode. They'd put him at DH and say, what can he do from both sides? He's going to play every day. He's going to play 155 games. If the pop's not there, you can't be a DH. You can't be a bat who's not slugging. That doesn't exist in today's game. And if it does, it's Luis Arias, and he's hitting 340 every year. That's how that exists. If you're not going to slug or field, you better be hitting 330. Base running's not that valuable. We love base running. I think I like base running, high quality base running, more than any other podcaster maybe in Yankees history.
Yeah,
I don't value it this much.
No, exactly. I mean, look, I like Jason Dominguez. I do. But if they called up Spencer Jones tomorrow, I'm playing Spencer Jones over Jason Dominguez right now. I think Spencer Jones would have a chance to add more to this team than Dominguez is currently adding. That's just my belief. So defensively, the power, and again, do I care about the power? Not really that much. I just expected more. We were sold that Jason Dominguez was going to be a 30 home run hitter at least. He has 9 this year. Like, he's going to finish the year with less than 15 probably. So
no, he 100% will not hit 15 home runs. And
which is
to
wild.
be fair to him, and we will do that.
Yeah.
He's not playing every day. So you're talking about Pop for, at best, a 17, 18 home run season. Okay? And it's, again, the worst defense we've ever seen. It's horrible, horrifying. And
Bob
the Yankees are choosing to use him.
332.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's going to end up around the 400 range. It's a lot of at-bats, guys. It's not like he played half the year. Jason Dominguez played. So, and this really, he's had some burn at the major league level. This isn't his rookie year. So Jason Dominguez is going to have to show up. He's going to have to show pop. Why? Because you're a bad fielder. You're not an okay fielder. You're a horrifying fielder. Terrible.
I'm not giving up on Dominguez, Michael. No. Because here's the thing. There are guys that are too good to be on the bench that are on the bench. Giancarlo Stanton is hitting over 300 in the month of August with over 1,000 OPS and barely plays. Like, he's just now starting to be in the lineup. Giancarlo Stanton has over a 900 OPS on the season. He's got 11 home runs and missed tons of games. I mean, Stanton is right now their best hitter. A lot of people, and this is what I was talking about last episode, Bellinger was struggling until today. Bellinger had like a 300 OPS, something like that, in the month of August. Volpe had a horrific Astros series that really lowered his August output, but I think he's been fine aside from that series. Dominguez isn't hitting well, right? Ben Rice was like the third best hitter, and his OPS wasn't even 600 until today in August. The two best hitters in August, Giancarlo Stanton and Trent Grisham. Stanton over 1,000 OPS, Grisham at over 900 in August. And Aaron Judge, not even 700. So that was my thing. The only thing, like, that was my argument. Yesterday, Spencer Jones is not being blocked by anybody. He's being blocked by sheer incompetence. That's what he's being blocked by at this point. I mean,
if Jason Dominguez was playing better baseball, we would just simply cover it. And mind you, just to prove it,
Slater didn't go down and Ahmed Rosario didn't go down, and you didn't just call up a third catcher for God knows why, unless you're going to send Wells to the IL, it would make sense. But guess what? All those things just happened. And Spencer Jones just hit his 30th home run in the minor leagues. When are we calling him Ahmed Rosario IL, Austin Slater IL? How bad does it have to get? And I know they won today, but how bad does it have to get? How many spots have to open?
No, actually, hold on. Jake, I really want to mention this. So Bob seems to think that cherry picking stats is not analytics. So we're going to actually dive into every single stat because I think that is completely fair, which we did. Mm-hmm. We mentioned elite base running, right? It was actually the first thing we covered.
Yeah.
Second thing we covered is above league average batting average. Now, batting average is probably the least important stat to the Yankees front office that they have. That's, I would say, right? Now, if you're a great base runner who objectively is a horrible left fielder, you're just bad. And anyone in here would agree with that. If you don't agree with that, you're just in here with a motive. I have no idea what that motive is, but it's really bad. You can just see on the screen he's not making quality throws. He's not making good reads off the wall. He's not having good jumps to the baseball. And then we have people saying, well, he's playing out of position. Well, what does it matter? If he can't play out of position, then what do you want me to tell you?
Right field, I get that. But, I mean, at the same time, how much better would it get? Like, to your point, how much better would it get? And also, think about this, and I just saw this in the comment section. I think this is a really good point here. My thing is that he just looks slow and unnatural in the outfield. He does. And, you know, that's the thing. I'm not trying to just make this about bashing Dominguez, but we're just trying to give you guys actual coverage here. No one's talking about these things because they just won today. But Zach makes a fantastic point, and this is what I'm going to say. With me and my experience, you know, scouting NFL prospects, I'll tell you, this looks exactly like the guy that runs a 4.2 40, but he doesn't play at the 4.2 40 speed on the field. Does Dominguez play at that 84 percentile sprint speed on the base paths? You bet your ass he does. Does he play like that in the field? No, he does not.
What do they call that? Game speed? They call it his speed on tape is elite. That's a person who gets quality jumps. That's a person who in football has great route running ability. Now, mind you guys, there are a lot of people in our chat who think that we have a bone to pick with Jasson Dominguez. I wonder how many people in our comment section were there the night he hit 3 homers and we said he should be starting every single day. Give him the opportunity to do so. I bet you anything you can find, and you go back to that video, you will find zero of those people complaining tonight, acting like Jasson Dominguez is 14 years old and not a grown man playing Major League Baseball. That's what this is. And our jobs as podcasters are to utilize the numbers. And we're not using analytics. We're using simple input-output. If you go out there and you don't slug, okay, we can move on from that. There's other areas of baseball to make an impact. Yeah. You need to bring your glove out there, make an impact on that end. He doesn't. And then you go out there and say, all right, do it on the base pass. He is. But Jasson Dominguez has to hit better if he's going to be this type of fielder. That's what we're waiting on. And for a win now organization, if you're not going to do it right away, you can justify looking at other young players and giving them an opportunity.
No, I totally agree with you. I think it has to be stated because we're a different show. We're not going to just tell you what happened today. We like going on our tangents, and we actually get a lot of really good comments from people. And honestly, the super chats also, they strike those tangents as well. But we'll go on them, and people will be like, wow, I never thought of that.
Did Mo really tear his Achilles?
Dude, okay. Poor Gary. You had no idea. Mo hit a ball. It had to have been like 95 miles an hour off the bat in the game. Crushed it, right? Then he goes out to center field, and like the ball is a lot shorter than he thought, so he's backing up, and then he just is like, oh crap, and then he just boom. He popped his Achilles. And if
I'm a firm believer, if you're over the age of 30 and you haven't played sports like professionally, or you just haven't played sports in general in over a decade, you should never sprint again. Unless you're like fully warmed up, the whole process, all of it. There are people out there that do like beer league softball and they're sprinting across the field. I'm like, you guys are just waiting to tear your Achilles.
And Mo has the money to get that fixed without an issue, but
I bet he doesn't want to.
Joe Schmo down the street does it. And keep in mind also, that's a year of rehab, man. Like, he still has to go through rehab and everything to get that thing back to where it needs to be, and it's never going to be the same because
I'll tell you boys what. If I ever tear my Achilles walking around Yankee Stadium or whatever the hell I was doing, my wife is pushing me around the rest of my life. I'm not getting that surgery. Could you imagine having to rehab? Like you're Damian Lillard. You're just rehabbing your Achilles for no reason. Mariano Rivera there's nothing for him to be doing other than living in a mansion, going to a steakhouse, getting some Wagyu, maybe some sea bass because you've had steak last night, and you go home. That should be the only thing he does. And the dude's out there. And mind you, I love that he was participating in this, but he also got hurt. He tore his ACL as a Yankee, running after fly balls in the outfield. Great athlete.
Been the outfield.
Never should have been the outfield. Mariano Rivera should be at first base. Lock him in.
Yeah, I it does that not tell you the Yankees this year, the cursed Yankees? Mariano Rivera can't even play at an exhibition softball game essentially, and without tearing his Achilles. What? Also, second, I love the Posada hype train. I agree with you, Gary. Time to rip new butt cheeks. Pause. Weasel. We appreciate you, Jonathan.
Weasel, thank you,
for the
man.
Super. Yeah, I mean, I think Posada would be a great fit. I think Mattingly. I think Girardi coming back. I think that would make sense. I mean, there are a lot of guys out there. Baseball is different. I feel like anybody could come out of retirement and manage. I don't feel that way about the NFL. I don't feel that way about the NBA. Baseball, it feels like guys are more inclined to do that. And it doesn't mean that
Do you think this would work, by the way? Like, for example, right?
Posada?
Jonathan is asking about, not about Posada, because it's not that simple. If the Yankees, let's say, dismissed Aaron Boone, they dismiss him.
On fire.
They
Moon Day, after
sign,
winning.
if they signed a Jorge Posada, do you think that the analytics department, they would get rid of him? Because now we brought in somebody who's not going to listen. I'm here to tell you right now, Jorge Posada is not looking at your analytics department. So if he was hired, does that mean that we're actually pivoting and changing direction? Or does it mean that they're going to hire a Jorge Posada and then part of the interview process is you need to play by these rules? That's the question. Is Jorge Posada going to be able to show up here and do what it is we're hiring him to do? What it is he's saying needs to change about the Yankees, are they going to let him change it? That's going to be interesting, because there are a lot of people that think, Clint Frazier, you're going to chop off the head. They're just going to put somebody else in there to do the exact same thing. That's what I'm curious about.
So, Gary, you just watched Fantastic Four, and it sounded like you liked it. Remember the robot Herbie?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. They would have a Herbie for Jorge Posada, teaching him on the fly, giving him crash courses on analytics. They would just have an AI robot assistant.
Yeah, I would like to believe if they do dismiss Aaron Boone and they hired an old school guy, like a guy who's clearly old school. If you bring in, I know Jeter wouldn't take the role most likely, but you bring in a Posada, you bring in some type of Girardi disciple, someone very similar.
I liked what I heard from Andy Pettit. I think he even has the right mindset for it.
Would Andy Pettit really come in here and be like, "Oh, hey, so Kyle, can you put that on a spreadsheet?" Yeah, no. I'm gonna go ahead and would he consider those numbers? No. I don't think he would.
No, none of those guys. Nobody that spoke. That's what I loved. It was a total dunking on today's game. That's what I enjoyed the most about that broadcast. They won the game, and the entire time they were dunking on today's game, and it needs to be dunked on because, again, analytics are a tool. AI is a tool, but when you start using it all the time, it goes back to the analogy. You got to know how to drive. You can't just be a good manager using a spreadsheet. Joe Torre was talking about this. He would keep guys in. Maybe today the analytics would say you should take him out. He knew he would go up, he'd talk to his pitcher. By the way, we don't see this very often. Notice how we celebrate or we make a big deal when Aaron Boone goes up, talks to his guy, and then leaves and doesn't take the ball. That was commonplace back in the day. All of this, like, oh, yeah, it's a mound visit and it's Matt Blake. That wasn't a thing back in the day.
Oh, like the Mike Mussina, sit down, stay there.
Yeah, pitching coaches, don't get me wrong, pitching coaches would come out. I'm not saying they wouldn't. But how often would you see a manager come out and not take the ball? Just as like, hey, I just want to talk to you. I'm going to use one of these mound visits. And now it's like it's so rare. If you ever see Aaron Boone, you know he's coming to take the ball from you.
Yeah, usually.
And to me, like listening to Joe Torre, this is essentially why he was as good as he was and why he had so much success, because you could just hear him. Yeah, I'd keep him in, or just different scenarios, situations. You look at the lineups. I mean, you have to have feel. I think that's the thing is you want to be balanced. Analytics, could they have helped Joe Torre? Sure. Would he probably use them today? Because, if he was a manager today, yeah. But would he only use them today? No. And that is what would separate him from everyone else because, I mean, while everyone else is in college right now just using, Chat GPT just to pass classes and whatnot, think about all the people that graduated before without doing that. And think about how much better off they are because they're actually learning something instead of having ChatGPT write their essays and stuff.
We need a what do they call the Hard Knocks? Could you imagine how much money would you pay for a Hard Knocks of the Yankees clubhouse, where they just the whole year, like pay-per-view, you pay a certain price and we get an opportunity to be a fly on the wall during press conferences. What's up?
Pay-per-view is officially. It's funny you bring it up. The day UFC killed pay-per-view, it's gone.
Wow, how special. I need a Hard Knocks for the Yankees. I need to see what it really looks like. I know what it looked like in 2005. I watched that. I was standing right there. I know for a fact it looks nothing like it looks today. Not from what I hear. And obviously I can't tell you guys some of those conversations, but come on.
I interviewed the producers from Hard Knocks, the showrunner, Keith Cosrow. Yeah.
Okay. No, I had no idea who he was.
Yeah, so I interviewed them. I did that in All or Nothing as well was the other one. Because obviously the Rams were on both. I think the Rams were on Hard Knocks like 3 times. Because if you're a bad team, you were just on Hard Knocks, right? Like you don't get a choice. I don't know why the Bills were there this year. They apparently wanted to do that. They didn't have to. But yeah, Hard Knocks is interesting. Having talked to a producer and a showrunner and talked to players that were around that were there, it's so funny the answers you get. Some players were distracted by it. They did see the cameras. They thought it was incredibly irritating. They were everywhere. Some players were so locked in, they never saw it. And then some players saw it and just did not care. And I feel like that's kind of a mixed bag, but that's what you would get with the Yankees clubhouse. I think you get some guys that would, they would care. Some guys wouldn't. The question is, and I wouldn't just want to see the clubhouse. I actually don't think I'd care about the clubhouse. I think I'd want to see just the front office. What are they talking about day to day? What are they doing? What what are the day to day operations? What's the meeting with Aaron Boone like?
It probably sounds like a class out of Princeton. I promise you, it is a bunch of dudes. It's probably one of those projectors where you go out and do the presentation. It is, I guarantee you, the most boring exercise that I wouldn't want to be a part of it at all. I just want to see the Yankees play in a more intense. I want a more intense environment. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah,
I think it's fair to suggest, by the way, that the Yankees operate under no intensity whatsoever. There's zero intensity. It's spring training intensity. And then you see how streaky teams are when they're not tuned up. It actually reminds me a lot in the NFL where you'll have a coach like Pete Carroll who practices full contact. No, we're going to go hard day one. And most people say, well, why would you do that? Well, because you're going to be more likely to be ready for week one. That's his whole entire mentality. Now, you can make the opposite argument, right? We've talked about this, but that's sort of what the Yankees are, is it's all a tune-up process. It's all just, don't worry about it because it's not October yet. And that's the way that they look at all these games, and it shows. So, Sebastian, thank you for becoming a Yankees Unloaded member. Welcome aboard, obviously, and also dropped a super
35
what's up?
Guatemalan quetzals.
Is that what that is?
Yes.
Sebastian, thank you for that. I couldn't repeat it if I tried. Really appreciate it. It says you guys have probably talked about this. I know. Nice work. But who would you have as Boone's replacement? My option is Jorge Posada. I'm going to go with Posada. I think the former catcher angle usually works. They paid attention to the game. It's not random that you always see backup catchers or catchers in general become managers. They've thought their whole career. And that's sort of what Posada's done. It's what the Yankees need to do more of. They need to do more thinking. Less calculation. More thinking. Jorge Posada. I think it's a great fit. So, yeah, that's our option. And, Jake, who's your final answer if you had to give a replacement? Is it Mattingly?
I'm going to stick with Mattingly. It's close. Okay. Showalter, Posada, all in the running. Mattingly deserved the opportunity. It went to Boone. I still have mixed feelings about that. Like I said, I did like Boone, and I still do. And we've talked about that. I like him like as a person, but it's just time, man. It really is. I mean, obviously, I know they won today, but they beat the Twins, and they have a lot to prove. And so I felt like really if they were going to fire him during the year, it would have been that game on Sunday. I think that was the game. If you were going to fire him in the middle of the year, or it'll be whatever happens against Boston. If they get swept against Boston, I think their season's over right then and there, dead on arrival. I think
you mean like wild card hopes and everything, just dead?
Oh, yeah. I think well, if you can't win a game against Boston the whole year, this is exactly what I was talking about with the analogy that I came up with, and this one dude was freaking out because I was talking about college hoops, but it made tons of sense. My Kansas Jayhawks in the corner, right? Last year, they were the consensus #1 preseason team. But you know what the Jayhawks couldn't do in the best division, the best conference in college basketball? Win. They didn't have a good record in the Big 12. They lost to the best teams. And so they were that team when they got into the tournament. People were like, well, I don't know. They were the #1 team. And there was, even like with me, like, I normally get a little bit, high on Kansas. They're always great, right? They always have a great roster. Even me last year, I was like, I don't trust this team. And there were people like, yeah, but they got all these players. They were consensus #1 to start the year. My point being is the team showed you what they were throughout the year. The Yankees, if they don't change and they don't beat the Red Sox and they don't at least split that series in the 4-game set, they're telling us we're not a good team. You can't have a 14-19 record in the AL East and expect me to take you seriously. And furthermore, you can't expect me, because if you're going to beat up on bad teams, that's great, right? You're going to have to do that to get in the playoffs. And let's say they do, even though they basically proved last year they couldn't do that. And they've never been able to do that with Boone, right? They always play down to their competition. But be that as it may, Gary, let's humor ourselves for a second, and let's just say they absolutely take care of business against the White Sox and the Nationals and the Cardinals, all these teams, right? What does that do for them in the playoffs? What does that do for them against a Seattle? What does that do for them against Houston?
It punches you a ticket, and you get a chance to fill out Yankee Stadium once or twice more. That's what it does. Yeah. And you get to show up, and people say, see, the Yankees can't get it done when it actually matters. No, actually, that's not what would have happened. The Yankees would have just done what they did the whole year. That's actually all that it would be. So, yeah, I hope people understand that this is the importance of regular season baseball. It's not just a stepping stone to, all right, let's win these games, and then we get in the dance and it resets. No. When you go into the postseason, your habits are going to materialize. They're going to fester and show up when you don't want it to. And that's what happened in the World Series last year. The Yankees, everyone's like, oh, I can't believe what the Yankees did. We could. I saw it. I watched a lot of really dumb baseball, and I almost forgot about it because we were on the high up there. But then when we got there, were those mistakes shocking? Was it anything new that you guys have never seen before? Like, yeah, we weren't watching Aaron Judge necessarily drop fly balls in center field, but not cover bases, pitch guys out of turn when it didn't really make any sense. We saw that the whole year. So it wasn't surprising. And Kieran with the 5, also a member here at Yankees Unloaded, says, med staff dumb as F. 2023 Aaron Judge broken toe was simply a contusion. And then a bone bruise. Fried pitching while bleeding a month ago. Ridiculous. We fired and hired and fired and hired 63 different staff since I started watching this team. The Yankees always have a problem with health. Always. Then it's bodybuilders. They can't stay healthy. Let's get rid of the Luke Voits and the guys who are just perpetually in the gym and that's all they want to do, right? The Ben Rourt vets. We're going to rid ourselves of that. We're going to go towards a more agile type player, less of the power game. And what you end up finding out is the Yankees just are making mistake after mistake when it comes to when to play a player, when to play a guy through an injury, when to utilize your depth. And this is the beauty of bringing in a former player that's willing to think rather than to look at calculations. Calculations can help you. The problem is when you rely on them, you end up making decisions like this, where you throw a guy out there whose spin rate is just massively down. Well, anyone who's really thinking knows that Max Fried shouldn't be pitching right now, but he is. So it's obviously disheartening. It's not what you want to see. So, yeah. And Alex,
it's
what's
like
up?
Ordering a craft beer and getting a Coors Light. Like, come on. I want the good stuff from Max Fried. And now you're just like, yeah, he's a pitcher.
Yeah, by the
Yeah,
way,
it's a beer.
guess what nickname
Same
I
difference.
heard today from Aaron Boone? I saw someone call him today. And just for the sake of sponsors down the road, so just so they can't say I said it, somebody else told me his new nickname is Kim Jong Boone. Oh my God.
End the show right there. It's over.
I've seen Osama Bin Laden. That one's funny.
Oh my God.
But the Kim Jong Boon is hilarious. That is absolutely the funniest nickname. And if you guys have heard of a funnier one, please, for the love of God, drop that in the comments. It's awesome. I love these. Alex with the super with the 2 says, absolutely love Devin Williams' role today. Yeah, I thought he really fit in nicely with the game plan. Just stay away from the ball game, and it just works.
Hey, now let's not shit on our 6-inning demon yesterday.
Yeah, he struck out the side.
Yeah, he did. He looked good. Yeah, I mean, there was no leverage, but now we know what he's doing. So
He shouldn't have a thread of hair on his face right now. He should be. Everyone else should be able to keep their beard. If you don't perform, that should actually be the rule. We'll let you guys have your beards, but there's a standard of play where there's a baseline. They should have to establish your baseline play. You need to hit X amount of homers. You need to help. You need to play
then
X
Austin Wells
type of
should have a
defense.
mustache.
Austin Wells should literally look like a bald professor. He shouldn't have, again, a thread of hair on his head. Slim Lewis, can't wait to see who Slim is today. Thank you, Slim, for the 2. Says, nice win versus the quadruple A team. Our schedule is favorable, and we've covered this. The Yankees, and Jake mentioned this as well a few weeks back, we have the 4th easiest schedule in baseball. Means nothing because all these games are just as important as one another. You have to go out and beat the brakes off these bad teams, and eventually, even with the 4th easiest schedule, you're going to play the Bostons. You're going to play quality teams. At some point between now and the end of the year, you need to beat them too. And if you don't think that's fair to just be able to expect to walk into Fenway and take 3 or 4, well, too bad. Then don't be 63 and 56. That's that's actually the way to solve that, is not having to go into Boston and dominate. You just don't play terrible baseball for 3 months in a row, and then maybe we don't have to do it.
I'm sorry. I'm so distracted. That was so funny. Slim, we appreciate the super chat. I totally agree. This just killed me. You ever heard of Mao Zedong?
Yes. Have I heard of him? Yeah,
Well, so
these nicknames.
Like people did like Booney Tunes.
Yeah, I saw Booney Tunes this morning, and I laughed.
Oh my God.
Booney Tunes.
I don't know what's going on. Napoleon.
Yeah, for
Boone?
our sponsors, we don't condone any of this. We just think it's absolutely hysterical.
Yeah, I mean, you can't not think it's funny.
And Chaz,
Thank you for
Jizzle.
becoming a member, Chaz.
thank you. Love the name. Welcome into Yankees Unloaded. Thank you for becoming a member. We really appreciate you investing in our channel. And guys, again, make sure you guys are subscribed if you're new here to Yankees Unloaded. Hit the bell icon. We go live after every game. We are giving away a jersey, Yankees jersey of your choice, home or road, at 10,000 subs. We'll announce the winner live on our podcast. If you're with us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, I know we have a growing audience for our audio. And so if you guys are there, drop us a review, would greatly help. But obviously, if you want to be part of the giveaway, you're going to have to hop over to YouTube. And Brian, obviously a Hall of Fame super chatter with the 5, says, we need a manager who is a Coulter tone setter, a guy like Pat Murphy This team is top soft, lacks a major dog mentality. We have a group of pansies. So,
I mean,
again,
they did just win today, so I don't want to just take the win completely away. And maybe we were a little negative, but you know what? They've been horrible for a while, and this is just the Twins. I really do want to bring home the point with this game that basically, one, Will Warren was sensational. I know he gave up the 2 home runs. He only gave up 3 hits. He gave them the length that they have been dying for. And of course, Aaron Boone, because I gave him credit earlier, I got to balance it out. Aaron Boone couldn't let a guy with 85 pitches in the 7th inning finish the damn 7th inning.
Yeah, so we'll use this as an opportunity to talk strictly about the game. What did you think about that choice? Because the pitch, to be fair, the pitch that was hit out was the worst pitch I've ever seen Will Warren throw. Ever. Now, do you think that was fatigue, or do you just think it was a mistake? And then Aaron Boone kind of... Yeah, it was just simply a mistake. It was one of the worst pitches I've ever seen. So I would probably say, though, do you ever see like a box? If you're watching 2 boxers and someone gets punched right in the face, one of the first 2 things that happens is the boxer that just got smoked in the face is going to start grabbing, right? They're going to start holding. They want to slow it down.
Points for that, yeah.
When you look at Aaron Boone, if something goes wrong, his immediate twitch is to go to his bullpen. Whether it's working or not, his first instinct in a moment of crisis is not to lean on a starting pitcher that got you to that spot. It is to simply go to the bullpen. So, yeah, and William, I think you're going to be okay reading comments on YouTube. You'll be all right.
Good Lord. John Wilkes Boone is wild. Anyway,
it's awesome.
Anyway, Will Warren should not have been pulled. But did it matter? No, because actually, I think it was Michael K. brought up, Luke Weaver looked like Luke Weaver in the past. And if he's back, and you got Bednar, who, I don't know about you, when I watch Bednar on the mound, I don't think they're going to score runs against him. I just don't. So that was a really good day at the office, because you come back, you lose that series, you win this game, you really control this game the whole way through. This was never at any point in doubt, in my opinion, even though it is the Yankees. Boone pen killer. The Boondock ain't. Oh my God, that's crazy. So you only use 3 bullpen arms, Gary, or 2 bullpen arms.
It's like magic. You only have to throw 2 pitchers, and your relievers don't all have to work every day. That's actually why we're not. That's why we don't have a good bullpen. We get off the hot starts because we're utilizing our bullpen. Has it ever dawned on the Yankees organization as a whole that maybe the reason you guys get off to such hot starts is because you don't push your starters to any length? You bring out your relievers who are all fresh, and you just empty the clip. No other team in baseball does this, by the way. There's not one other team in baseball that goes to their bullpen in the 5th and 6th inning every single day in April. The Yankees do. Yeah, I'll bring in the right-hander. Yep. Yeah, I want the left-hander to go against this lefty. These other teams aren't doing that. Now, they're not doing it because they're not doing it because they think it's going to hurt them in April. No, they're doing it understanding that there's a bigger picture here, that our starters and their value, they have to carry us through the season. That's why we pay them all this money. And so when you go out there and pitch into the 6th inning and you refuse to go to your bullpen, now you can go to the bullpen in August. And these guys aren't ripped to shreds. Our bullpen is absolutely decimated. And the only reason we're not just on life support right now is because we got a fresh batch. That's what we did. We got Bednar, and we've been working him like a dog ever since. 42 pitches. Multiple, right? We've used him in multi-inning already 2 or 3 times. We are going to beat the brakes off of these new set of relievers. We don't learn a thing over here in New York.
But today was good. And, I liked what was said, though, because, I think it was Girardi was like, this is how you go 6-7 innings, is that you have to get those outs. You have to get those quick outs. And Warren was a little bit of everything today, was dominant, just absolutely pounded the strike zone. And we're talking 85 pitches, 60 of them were strikes, right?
What do you think about the velocity, by the way? We've never seen
really good
97 like that from Will Warren. I was actually just telling you before we went live. That's what I think the next step for Will Warren will be, is the next step in terms of velocity and just overall stuff. The sweeper is nasty, right? The slider, the sinker, gross. Spin rate, all that's really good. But the next step could be where you start seeing 96, 97, and instead of looking at a 5-starter, you could be looking at someone who's more of a 3 or 4, right? So that's what the Yankees clearly need, and when you're not getting length, most importantly, from Rodon or Fried, we'll take it from Will Warren.
I loved this because I think Will Warren, I know he gave up the 2 home runs, but Will Warren hitting that on the gun today, going up to 97, the sweeper, he just looked like he was in his element. He looked like, obviously, I felt good about the start being in the Bronx. I mean, his ERA is 4.34. You take away 2 bad starts, like catastrophically bad, and it's in the 3s, and it's well in the 3s. He has an argument as right now, he's the second best pitcher on the team outside of Max Fried for the year. If you take
That's what we expected.
Games. So,
not
the thing about Will Warren in this game is it tells me, Gary, because people remember when Cam Schlittler was throwing 101, and people are like, "Well, he didn't do that in AAA." He's fired up. He might even be overthrowing, and sure enough, he was a little banged up. Didn't miss his start, but he was a little banged up. Will Warren looked fired up today. He looked like he was willing to go on a mission and put the team on his back. That was the vibe I got. And it's a show me, don't, tell me type of industry, okay? That's sports. You can have guys that talk trash all day long, but if they're not showing you anything, no one gives a rip, right? Well, Will Warren showed you today what he can do. He was disgusting. He had some great stuff. He had 2 bad pitches. Those 2 pitches were, unfortunately, home runs. He gave up 3 hits total. His 7 strikeouts, it goes to show you how he still can strike guys out. He still can miss bats, but he can also get those quick outs that allow him to extend that start. And to be honest with you, if he doesn't give up the home run, that second home run, they keep him in all likelihood. I think it was an overreaction by Boone. He missed 11 bats today. And to be fair to Zebby Matthews, the name doesn't seem like he'd be dominant or anything. He missed 18 bats today, which brings me to my next point. I don't think the Yankees offense was that good. And really, this is a little concerning for me because I want to take it, I want to at least give them credit because they hit the home run ball. But at the same time, until the 7th inning, and I'm glad you brought that up because the 7th inning was really when they started playing that small ball baseball where it's
quality baseball.
Yeah, I'm just driving in runners, right? I'm getting guys on base. I mean, at one point, you had 3 home runs. You're up 3-0. There's nobody on base. So these guys are doing their job, but the other guys are not. They're not getting on base at that point. And we continue to talk about this. The Yankees are trying to win games with the home run ball. And they do. Today they won with the home run, but guess what? This is not sustainable. Just like how we continue to say how Jazz continues to swing for the fences. He got an absolute meatball in the 8th inning, and lucky for him. Hopefully that gets him back on the right track, but I've had a big issue with Jazz Chisholm's uppercut swing and just really kind of going away from that 70% he was talking about. And it's like, I almost feel like someone has to remind him, like he's forgotten, because it just looks like he's going out there. And Gary, we talk about situational hitting all the time. I know my dad does. And it's like, you just got all these guys on base. And he's in there and he's just trying to swing for the fences like they need a home run. They're in control. All you got to do is continue to manage this lead, add a little bit more onto it. Based on this bullpen this year, having a few insurance runs at the end of the game is only going to help your cause. So I just think that's kind of like where I'm at right now, is that this Yankee team, they had 10 hits today. They got going the 7th. You know, obviously, shout out to McMahon for being a part of that. Shout out to Judge for coming through. Shout out to Grisham. Grisham didn't have a good day today until the 7th inning when he stepped up. That was a key run. Now it's a 4-2 ball game instead of 3-2.
I'll take that any day of the week, by the way.
Absolutely.
When you're talking about, would I rather have Grisham hitting in innings 1 through 5 and then doing squat in the 7th when you really need it, right? And of course, you would take the same thing, but that's exactly the opposite of what the Yankees have been. The Yankees are the type of team where they'll go score. Well, yeah, we'll go score in the innings 1 through 5 and then tell you we have a good offense. But then in a 2-2 game in the 8th, they've shown that they can't score. Today was a different story. Now, playing the Twins certainly helps, but you got to beat who's in front of you. They did that. We give them credit for that 7th inning. It was huge. And also pulling Will Warren to Aaron Boone's defense here, and not totally to his defense because I probably would have kept him in the game. But having said all this, the score is going to dictate that. When you're talking about a 1-run game, it makes the decision that much harder. But when your offense goes out and executes earlier and you capitalize on guys in scoring position, or you get on base for some of those homers earlier on, well, now you're talking about a 2 or 3-run lead. Keeping Will Warren in the game is much easier. And so I think that's also a part of the problem. I know they keep telling us offense is just the least of their concerns. Well, I kind of beg to differ there. CBA with the YouTube membership, a Yankees Unloaded. So CBA, thank you so much for doing so. Welcome aboard. And Rich Squires with the 5, obviously love the Booney Tunes nickname. Thank you for the 5, Rich. Says the way the Yankees have been playing this season, it's like watching the Booney Tunes. So yeah, it's Rich. Again, thank you. I assume Rich is going to be going to the game, which will be, I guess, tonight, depending on when you're listening to this episode. And Slim Lewis with the 5 says Jake's always gets hyped when Warren shoves versus bad teams. He's okay. He has potential in the future. Warren pitching in Game 3 of the playoffs game is scary. So to address this right away, I would agree that Will Warren is not nearly ready for the bright lights, the postseason, Game 3 of a championship series. Now, is it physically possible? Does he have the stuff to do it? Yeah, absolutely. But part of the reason his ERA is in the 4s is because he's susceptible to those mistakes. He's susceptible to not being aggressive, according to Aaron Boone, is that he's nibbling on the plate. He'll surrender base runners. The whip is high. And when he gives up the homer in his bad starts, he gives up crooked numbers. Well, that's what we're trying to avoid in those big games. So, Slim, I would agree, and I think Jake also would agree once I obviously let him answer this. Will Warren is not a finished product. He has a ton of potential, and every once in a while, someone with potential just gives you a high output on the day, and they deserve credit for it. So I think that's really what Jake's doing. I don't think Jake is telling you that, oh, look, Jake, he's now our ace. I want to throw the baseball to Will Warren. No, Will Warren just looked good today.
No, he looks like the ace in this moment in time. Right. That's not to be taken at he's our ace. But I do want to defend Will Warren here. He was fantastic his last outing, right? Against Texas. Didn't allow a run, only 3 hits. So back-to-back 3-hit performances. Then he only gives up 1 run against Tampa. Then he only gives up 2 runs against Philly, right? He only gave up 2 runs against Chicago. He gave up no runs against Seattle. He got absolutely shelled against Toronto, right? Really, this idea that he's only going up against bad pitching, bad hitting and succeeding, bad teams, I just don't really subscribe to that notion. Only gave up 2 against San Francisco. Only gave up 2 against Arizona earlier in the year when they were a healthy and much better team. Really looked good against Seattle again. Really looked good against Texas again.
Is it safe to say, by the way, Jake, that technically speaking, the majority of who you face as a pitcher or as a hitter is just not great competition? Is that fair to say that when you're a hitter and you start on any given Wednesday, more times than not, you're not seeing Paul Skeens. More times than not, Tarek Skubal's not on the other side. You don't have to deal with the best of the best. Now, is Will Warren, is he a comfortable guy to toss the baseball to when you're playing a San Diego or a Dodgers team? Well, no, absolutely not, because he is supposed to be at the back end of a rotation. Guys at the back end of your rotation, Jake, and you'll agree with this, are not supposed to be guys you're comfortable pitching in Game 3 of the postseason. That's not what it's supposed to be. The Yankees traded Jordan Montgomery away, who was their 3 starter at the time, because they were uncomfortable with him pitching in a big game. They just got rid of him for Harrison Bader. So if you guys think we're comfortable with Will Warren pitching in a World Series game tomorrow, if it was available to us, I'm here to tell you right now, we would not be.
Actually, that's a really good question. Are you going with Warren, Heel, Schlittler? I mean, I don't think you have a choice. I think Warren would be the option for me.
You just don't have any choice, unfortunately, and that's part of the windup.
Start, but at the same time, this might sound like a hot take here. I would actually say at this point, because Heel has missed time here, Will Warren, and yes, he gives up the home run, but Will Warren is the one that I trust more than Heel in a do or die game 3 or whatever. Right?
I think if the game was tomorrow and I didn't get an opportunity to see what Heel would be over the course of the next 3 to 4 starts, but if obviously 4 starts from now, if Heel still looks really good and 3 or 4 of those look like Heel of old, well then yeah, it's an easy decision. But Luis Heel also can have, I mean, he had a stinker in his first outing, really good his last, and if he goes out there and he looks horrible, well, then suddenly people are like, oh, Heel's not good, and let's look at other options. So, yeah, if the game was tomorrow, there are certainly people who would be like, I want the stuff from Luis Heel, and I'll just rely on the stuff, and that's valid. So I'm not going to try and talk you guys off that ledge. So it's an interesting conversation.
And again, keep in mind, he gave up 15 runs in 2 games to Toronto and LA, and that is what is ballooning his ERA. The LA game is terrible because it was only an inning and a third. Toronto, he at least pitched 4 innings, right? So it doesn't hit the ERA as hard. Oh, your ERA gets clapped when you only pitch 1 1/3 inning and you give up 7 runs. And I just think really when you look at it, Will Warren to me has thrown, I'd say his ERA should be about, and I'm not doing the math, so I'm not telling you exactly where it should be, but based on what I've seen this year, I think it should be like 350, 360. I've really liked what I've seen. Okay. And more often than not, this is somebody that is giving you an opportunity. I mean, if you look this year, the worst he's really doing, aside from the exploded games, right? He gave up 5 runs against Atlanta. He has a couple games where he's given up 4 earned runs. Maybe, I think he's got 3. He's got 3 of those games. But, I mean, listen to this. 0, 1, 2, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 3, 0, 0, 2, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 2. Like, I mean, he's been a really good pitcher this year.
He's
for the
a good
Yankees.
4 or 5. That's who he is. And due to circumstances, Rodon, Max Fried, all these guys not doing their jobs, you know what it's really done, guys? It's made us become ungrateful as to what this is. Will Warren should have a ton of value. The problem is that the Yankees' performances, and they brought on a pitcher for over $200 million. They paid $180 million for Rodon. These are the guys who are supposed to be piling up 200 innings. These guys are supposed to be, oh, I'm going to stop the bleeding. I'm going to make sure we win that game. Now, Will Warren doing anything, it's easy to be appreciative of it. But when you go out there and we haven't had a starter record a single out in a week and a half in the 6th inning, not one other pitcher in our rotation, what it does is it makes you look at Will Warren and go, can I trust him in Game 3 of the World Series? We shouldn't even be having to have that conversation, but we're forced to due to circumstances. And Brian, I'm going to send out the Amber Alert. Obviously, thank you for the 5 being serious here. Look at Brian. Not sure what happened to him. He said, I literally made a Facebook post about Warren pitching pissed off. He had a swag about him, and you heard the pop of the catcher's mitt. Definitely fun to watch. So, Brian, seeing the light of Will Warren, and we're not telling you guys he's Pedro or he's close to it. Will Warren's a really good 4. That's who he is. And if you try to make him bigger than what he is or what he's developed to be at this stage of his career, because we have to judge him off of who he is now and how he can help a team right now. Well, he can help us a ton. But if you're going to try and cast him into a role, into this, oh yeah, he's going to be the main gig, he's not going to be a sideshow character, yeah, maybe you talk yourself into being disappointed. I won't let myself do that. I think Will Warren's a good pitcher in this league. He's going to get even better. I'm just going to know him for exactly what he should be known as, which is a really good 4.
Yeah. And I mean, anything more, you feel good about it. And Izzy, appreciate the super chat here. I know we won today, but I didn't like the smiles and giddy grins with the season on the line daily. I want to see teeth grinding and grisly snarls. I don't know what that. Like, can you imagine if like Jazz Chisholm or something like hits a game-winning home run and he's just like, all right, back to you, Jack.
I think we all agree with this, though. The Yankees are very giddy. It's club baseball. Everyone's having a good time, and they'll tell you, "What do you want us to be miserable?" Yeah, I actually do. I want to be able to look at your face and know what your record is just by looking at it. I should be able to count your record by your wrinkles that are on your forehead. That's what I want. I want you to seem like you care as much as we care. And I think that's what Izzy's getting at. When you hear people, and there's reports out there, the Yankees, they just blare music after losses. It doesn't really seem to shake the cage at all when they're on a losing streak. They just kind of give you their answers, put their street clothes on, and dip. Well, that doesn't feel very good as a fan. So thankfully we won today, so we'll let them smile. As long as we win, you guys can smile. But as long as we're losing, I want to see some snarls. I agree.
I like that. And then Extra Salty has become a member of Yankees Unloaded, so we appreciate you, Extra Salty. I just love everything about this. I love the name. I love the avatar. I mean, there's a lot of branding here. I like this a lot.
Is this not a brand?
Salt? Is the salt holding salt? I think the salt. I think the salt. I can't tell.
Okay, so Izzy wants the Yankees to be salty when they lose. You should be salty. You should be upset.
You shouldn't be blaring music as if it's a happy-go-lucky thing. And then just saying, well, that's just today's baseball. That's just, because I'll tell you right now, that's not the case. There's no way everybody else is doing that. There's no way. No way.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure the Yankees probably would say everyone's using analytics. Everyone is more player friendly. We heard that as well in the whole hiring process. It's going to be, now we need a close relationship, right? You need Cody Bellinger or Trent Grisham or Aaron Judge to really like the manager, like almost on a friend level. That's what people are looking for. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, our former players don't seem to subscribe to that angle. And Extra Salty says, hi, longtime viewer and subscriber, first time joining, doing a great job and do appreciate the shows. So Extra Salty, we appreciate you being here and of course investing into our channel. That is huge because without you guys and your guys' investments, I mean, this is not a job. This is the hobby, and people do forget that YouTube is a job for a lot of people. So we really appreciate you guys making that possible. Obviously, Jake and I have a great time doing this.
Yes.
But the Yankees actually finally won a baseball game, which is nice. I know that a lot of people say, oh, well, when you guys have over, I mean, when I did my solo show, I had over almost 1,300 people in there.
It's crazy.
But it tends to be after we lose, right? We got eliminated from the World Series. Jake, you and I both, I mean, we had over 2,000 people in here. So
we were the only Yankee show that went live too, because people were like, oh, they lost. Oh, I don't feel like doing a show. And we're like, nope, work time.
Yeah, it does seem a little dumb to not go live after every major event, whether you're happy with it or not. And that's what our show does. So some people will say, well, you guys can have this when you win. You only have 400 people in there, but when you lose, you have 1,200. Well, I guess we'll see you when they lose. That'll be kind of how we deal with it. But either way, we're going live. We do not care.
Yeah, we do not care. We will be here regardless. It doesn't matter if they win, they lose. They set a record for most runs given up in a game. Gary has to wear a bag on his head. It doesn't matter. Like we're gonna show up. At least one of us will always be here. That is. Yeah. We prefer the actual show with both of us, but one of us will be here if the other one can't make it.
The brutal thing is when the Yankees win in a very uninspiring, unexciting way, and then you're by yourself.
Oh yeah.
Very difficult to do.
I remember because I always rewatch yours, like if I can't make it. Or in the case of coming back from the King's X concert with my dad, he's like, wait, isn't Gary doing his show right now? We're driving past Yankee Stadium. I was like, I'm going to send him a super chat. And it was funny.
My mom and I were laughing about that, by the way. I was like, just think what Jake just did. Jake just pulled $5 out of his wallet, reached it across the screen, and handed me the $5. It turned into $2.10 by the time he handed it to me after Apple and YouTube got their hands all over it and taxes and whatnot.
I knew it's better.
And
that
then
I knew this was
at
happening
the end of the month,
happening.
I'm gonna split the $2.20 and hand Jake $1.10. So he made $5 turn into $1.10. It's like Brian Cashman spending all over again. You turn $300 million into a $140 million roster. Pretty incredible.
We timed it perfectly. I literally was sending the super chat while we were passing Yankee Stadium. But no, my dad said it. You did a great job, and he was like, "I wish it was longer because like we almost went the whole way home to just you."
I think I mean, didn't I go like an hour and 40? Was that how long I went?
Yeah, I mean, we were like 2 hours and 40 minutes or 2 hours and 30 minutes away, but we also started like when you started it, we were already on the road. So it already we had gotten out of Manhattan and everything, and we were already passing Yankee Stadium. So
I see it. So Swag Like Clem says we're gonna get to. I'm assuming he's mentioning we're gonna get to 10,000 subscribers in less than 14 days. I would agree.
Not if they keep winning.
If the Yankees keep winning, we won't be there till October. But we're gonna get there one way or the other. But if they lose, like I'll tell you right now, if we lose tomorrow, the starter. The fourth place in the AL Central, Minnesota Twins. There's not even a starter announced. It's not going to be a good one. Here to tell you right now, TBD, I know we've seen some crazy performances against the Yankees. That starter is not going to be good. So if the Yankees win tomorrow, yeah, we won't see 10,000 subscribers till literally October. But yeah, if the Yankees lose to TBD, then the subscribers are cooking at that point. Because people are going to be livid, and that's what motivates fans. Because I did see Jordan7 in the comments earlier saying that this is like an AA meeting for Yankees enthusiasts, people that love this team but hate the direction. We're for you. I mean, we talk about it all, and we do it no matter what the result is. So thank you guys, of course, for being here. I mean, it's greatly appreciated.
No, of course. What should we put in the comment section?
How about you just drop Interstellar, considering the fact that I put Jake on to seeing Interstellar, and he loved it.
One of the best movies ever.
I was shocked you haven't seen it. That's all you do is watch movies. Interstellar.
It's so good. It's so good. Really, this year, all I did was watch TV shows. I'm catching up. I'm now up to 24 movies on the year.
Okay. Well, I mean, I had a daughter 13 months ago. I don't think I've seen more than 3 movies, so... If you enjoy movies, kids are not for you. So, I'm here to tell you guys.
It's funny with the Grizzly Snarls thing in the comment. I was almost just going to say, put in Cujo. It's a good movie, and it makes sense with the Snarl comment.
You can either put that in the comments. You can put Interstellar. Either way, we'll take it.
Or
Make sure you guys subscribe for the giveaway at 10,000. What were you going to say?
The Gentleman, I watched that too. Shout out to Alex.
The Gentleman.
X Alex. Like Jimmy XX Fox. You know, our guy Alex.
Oh, man, of course.
Yeah, he literally gave me this recommendation like right before I had my nightcap last night, because I always end my night with movies.
Mm-hmm.
And, dude, banger. Matthew McConaughey. I forget the dude's name. The guy who was in Sons of Anarchy. I never watched it, but I know he's a big actor. Like everyone.
I only saw like a season of Sons of Anarchy.
The main character. What's his name? Charlie Hunnam. So it was Matthew McConaughey, Charlie Hunnam, Colin Farrell, Hugh Grant, Jeremy Strong from Succession, Dude, it was dope. It was a really fun movie. So yeah, type one of those in the comments section. We'll be back tomorrow, same time or maybe close to it, maybe earlier. I meant more so the same time. The game is at 7.
Probably a little bit, probably a little bit earlier of a show. But yeah, same time for the game. No idea who's pitching. We would tee it up. We don't know. The Yankees have no idea who's pitching for Minnesota. Hopefully it's Brooks Krisky. Would love that.
Dude, I could not even believe when he came out. I thought I was like dreaming. I was like, Gary has mentioned how Brooks Krisky has, I mean, how many times did you blame him for something? He's the reason you almost decided to do cigarettes. He's the reason you couldn't sleep. He's the reason that you were afraid of the dark. Like, everything was Brooks Krisky.
He was the human victory cigar for the other team. He never came in a big moment ever. It was always, oh, the start got away from us. The reliever gave up the 3-run jack that you were trying to avoid. It's 4-2. It's 6-2, 7-2 in the 8th. Pull out Brooks. Warm him up. You see him warming up in the pen. It's essentially us saying we're letting go of the rope. The Titanic is going down.
I texted you that and you didn't even believe me. You're like, wait, there's no way he's coming in. I was like, yeah.
No, I pulled it up just to be sure. And I swear to you, it was like seeing Bigfoot for the first time in like 4 years. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And then I heard that he was picked up from waivers. And I just wondered, what in the world was Minnesota even thinking when they made this pursuit? It's wild.
That is
I'm gonna end up seeing
wild.
Brooks Krisky on a golf course somewhere. I always say this, and this happens all the time to me. I go out on a golf course somewhere in Scottsdale and run into these players. Like one time I ran into Aaron Hicks.
Oh no.
yeah.
God.
And he mentioned my coverage of him, and he was actually a really nice guy. I expected him to be nice, but he definitely knew what my coverage was, which, what do you want me to say? I mean, you play better baseball, you get quality coverage. That's how this whole operation works.
I just know I'm about to have some uncomfortable run-ins at some point. I don't know. I'm never too harsh, although Joey Gallo would beg to differ. Joey Gallo will take his golf club and probably swing it at my head.
There's been enough negative coverage on Gallo. I don't even think he would be able to pick any one person out the crowd. Who in the world had positive coverage? Matter of fact, the last thing I'll say on this podcast, when he was actually dismissed from the Yankees, I was like, oh, this actually could be a good thing because he can get from up under the bright lights of New York. I put more stock into playing for New York and it being really difficult, and said, oh, well, when he gets over there to LA, it'll be a little easier. Playing with the Dodgers a little bit more lax, right? I don't know. It could help him. It didn't help. So he can't say I was unfair. I tried.
They turned Joey Gallo into Ahmed Rosario in a weird, funky way of doing it. So we'll take it. Although he's injured right now.
Yep.
Well, that just got grim. Anyway, the Yankees win. We'll see if they continue to do it. The Twins are not good, so obviously they should win tomorrow. Carlos Rodon's on the mound against Undecided, so we don't know who that is. Maybe his name literally is Undecided. Who am I to judge?
We'll see.
But be sure to drop in the comment section either Interstellar, if you stuck around to this point in the video, Interstellar, The Gentleman, or Cujo. That's one of the wild ones. I don't think we've had one that was weird. But yeah, guys, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you, I don't know, what, I wish I could do math. I want to say
20 hours.
Yeah, let's just go with that.
We'll see you in 20 hours. Like the video.